I wasn't expecting my ego to get wrecked by a girl in an oversized cardigan, holding a broken stacked one asterisk. I was in expecting my ego to get wrecked by a girl in an oversized cardigan holding a broken stapler. Asterisk. It was Tuesday morning, the kind that smelled like burnt espresso and fresh contracts. I'd just closed a multi-million-dollar deal in Dallas, feeling like the universe had personally engraved my initials on success itself. My name's Logan Pierce, CEO of Pierce Industries. Translation: I make money by blinking and break hearts by accident. Until she walked in. Excuse me, a soft voice said, right as I was telling my assistant to fire the recruiter, who sent me yet another secretary who couldn't type my name without blushing. I turned. She wasn't blushing. She was glaring at me like I'd parked on her moral high ground. Asterisk, this stapler doesn't work, she said, and neither does your charm. That got a laugh out of my CFO. It got a stare out of me. The girl, my new secretary, apparently had brown hair pulled into a low bun that said I don't care, and clear eyes that said I actually do. Her name badge read Ava Hartman, asterisk. I wasn't aware charm was part of your job description, I said, leaning back in my chair, but thank you for noticing. Asterisk, she didn't even flinch. I'm just here to work, Mr. Pierce. Not to notice you? Asterisk, ouch. Brutal. Refreshing. I liked her immediately, which for me was a problem. Asterisk, see. Here's the thing about being me. I'd built an empire on confidence, the kind that came wrapped in expensive suits and delivered with a smile sharp enough to cut through any boardroom resistance. I was the man with too many cars, too many parties, and too little sleep. My relationships had expiration dates shorter than my coffee breaks. Asterisk, until this girl looked me in the eye and didn't seem impressed. Asterisk, tell me something, Ms. Hartman, I said, rising. Do you always insult your boss on the first day, or am I just special? Asterisk, her lips twitched. Oh, you're special. Don't worry. That hint of humor, God, it threw me. Good, I said, stepping closer. Then you'll fit right in. Asterisk, she lifted a brow. That's one way to put it. Asterisk, the rest of the office went quiet. The kind of silence that happens when everyone pretends not to listen. I saw their smirks reflected in the glass walls. My employees were used to me flirting with the help, but this time it felt different because she wasn't playing along. Asterisk, by lunch, I'd learned that she graduated top of her class, worked 2 jobs to pay for her degree, and didn't drink coffee because it fueled poor decisions. Asterisk, tragic, I said when she told me. Poor decisions are the foundation of success. Asterisk, she didn't laugh. No, Mr. Pierce. Lessons are, touché. I found myself watching her through the day, her focus, her calm, the way she didn't crumble under pressure. The office buzzed around her, but she seemed untouchable, like she lived in a separate frequency of decency. Asterisk, by 5 p.m. She'd reorganized my schedule, answered 50 emails, and corrected my typo on a proposal before I could sign it. Asterisk, efficient, I said, skimming the document. Accurate, she corrected. I grinned. Same thing. Asterisk, not in your world, apparently. Asterisk, the worst part. She was right. Asterisk, that night, I met some investors at a rooftop bar in Uptown. The usual drinks, laughter. Women who smiled like they'd read my net worth on my face. But none of them held my attention. I kept seeing Ava's unimpressed eyes, hearing that cool, steady tone that didn't bend toward me. I hated that it got under my skin. The next morning, she was already in the office, typing furiously, a half-eaten muffin beside her. You start early, I said. She didn't look up. You start late. It's called flexible leadership, I said. It's called privilege. Asterisk, that made me pause. Nobody ever said that to me, not in my building, not with that calm conviction. She wasn't intimidated. She was irritated, maybe disappointed, like she'd expected more from me already. Asterisk, careful. I said, stepping behind her desk. You're dangerously close to honesty. Asterisk, I try to live there, she replied. There it was, again, that grounded decency that clashed perfectly with my arrogance. By noon, she'd managed to turn my chaotic schedule into something that resembled structure. Meetings were tighter, calls were prepped. I hadn't realized how messy I'd let things get. Asterisk, don't look so shocked, she said, catching me staring at my neatly arranged desk. Being organized isn't a moral failing. Asterisk, I'll take that under advisement. Asterisk, the days passed like that, banter laced with tension. She was impossible to ignore. My usual tricks didn't work. Compliments bounced off. Smirks went unnoticed. Charm fell flat. Asterisk, and for the first time in a long time, I found myself trying not to impress her, just to understand why I cared. Asterisk, it wasn't attraction alone. It was the way she carried herself. Like she knew exactly who she was, and wouldn't let the world or me bend that. Asterisk. Then came Thursday. Asterisk, we had a major client meeting downtown, the kind where one wrong word could cost millions. My head of operations got sick last minute, so Ava had to step in to assist. She didn't hesitate. In the elevator, she clutched her notepad like a shield. Nervous? I asked. Asterisk, no. Focused. Asterisk, you sure? You look like you're calculating the odds of surviving me. Those odds aren't great, she said dryly. I laughed. You'll learn. Asterisk, I hope not. Asterisk, the meeting was brutal. 10 men twice her age, testing every word she said, but Ava didn't flinch. When they interrupted her, she spoke louder. When they questioned a number, she had the file ready. By the end, they were impressed. So was I afterward. In the car, I said, you were incredible. Asterisk, she shrugged, just doing my job. Asterisk, no. You were. I stopped, searching for a word that didn't sound like a confession. Effective. Asterisk, her lips curved. That's the nicest thing you've said all week. Asterisk, you'll get used to it. Asterisk, I'd rather not. We shared a look long enough to feel dangerous. That night, I stayed late at the office. She did too, finishing reports. It was quiet, except for the hum of city traffic below. Asterisk, why are you still here? She asked without looking up. Asterisk, why are you? Asterisk, I need the money. Asterisk, I need the peace. Asterisk, she glanced at me then, curious. You have everything. How are you not at peace? Asterisk, I almost told her the truth, that everything feels like nothing when no one means it. That every time I walked into an empty penthouse, the silence felt heavier, but old habits die hard. Peace is overrated, I said instead. She didn't answer, just gave me that small, disappointed look, again the one that hit harder than any insult. Asterisk, before I could say something stupid, my phone buzzed. My ex, the one from last month, had sent a selfie captioned, "Miss you already." Asterisk, Ava caught the screen before I could flip it. Her expression didn't change, but something in the air did. Asterisk, rotating the lineup, she asked, voice steady. Asterisk, excuse me. Asterisk, you know rotating women, like shifts at a factory. Asterisk, I smirked, masking the sting. It's called efficiency. Asterisk, it's called emptiness, she said quietly, packing her bag. That one landed deep. Before I could respond, the elevator dinged. The lights flickered, then cut out. Total darkness. Asterisk, great, I muttered. Power outage. Asterisk, emergency lights should kick in, she said, but they didn't. The city buzzed faintly outside the windows, shadows slicing through the glass. We're stuck, she asked. Asterisk, looks like it. Asterisk, perfect. I could hear her exhale, calm but tight. Relax, I said. It's not the apocalypse. Asterisk, it's being trapped in an office after hours with my arrogant boss. Some might argue that's worse. Asterisk, harsh. Asterisk, honest. Asterisk, and there it was, again her voice steady, cutting, unshaken. Asterisk, somewhere between the silence and the city hum. I realized the irony. She was just the new secretary, and yet, somehow, she'd become the only person I couldn't ignore. Asterisk, the lights flickered once more, bathing us in dim gold. She met my eyes. "Guess we'll be here a while," she said. And just like that, the playboy who'd never been trapped by anything was trapped by her. And out were a study in awkward breathing, hers controlled and even, mine slightly less dignified. "I'll call maintenance," I said, checking my phone. No signal, of course. She was sitting on the edge of my desk, arms folded, legs crossed like she'd done this 100 times, waited out chaos without blinking. "Relax, Mr. Pierce. The lights will come back when they come back. You're awfully calm for someone locked in a glass box with the devil." "I've met worse," she said, "and I brought snacks." She pulled a granola bar from her bag, tore it open, and took a bite with infuriating composure. I leaned against the window, watching the flicker of headlights below. Dallas looked half asleep, streets slick from an earlier drizzle. A city that never really stopped buzzing. "You know," I said, "you're not exactly what I expected when I hired a secretary." "Good," she said, "because I'm not a secretary. I'm a temporary assistant until your HR manager gets back from maternity leave." I tilted my head. "So you're leaving soon?" "In a few weeks." The idea hit harder than I liked. "Shame. You're good at making my life tolerable." She smiled faintly. "That's not in the job description either." We were quiet for a bit. I could hear the rain starting again, soft against the glass. I wanted to fill the silence, but she beat me to it. "Why do you do it?" she asked. "Do what?" "The Playboy thing. The women, the tabloids, the reputation. You're obviously smart. You could be taken seriously without all that." Her tone wasn't judgmental, just curious. That made it worse. I shrugged. "I like fun. The world likes fun. Seems like a fair trade." "Fun," she repeated, like she was testing the word for sincerity or distraction. That hit a little too close. I looked away. "You ask a lot of questions. Maybe you need to answer one." I met her gaze. She didn't flinch. Nobody looked at me like that, like they weren't buying the act. "You ever think maybe some people just don't want to be understood?" I said. "Everyone wants to be understood," she replied. "Some people just don't believe they deserve it." And there it was, too honest, too sharp. She didn't know my past, didn't know the ex who'd traded my name for headlines, or the father who measured affection in performance metrics. But somehow she'd found the thread. Before I could respond, the lights hummed back on. She blinked. "Guess the universe ran out of patience." "Guess so." We cleaned up our desks, both pretending the last 20 minutes hadn't just stripped us bare. The next day, she came in wearing a navy dress that looked simple but commanded attention. I pretended not to notice. She pretended not to notice me noticing. Our banter resumed, quick, safer than what we'd touched last night. "Morning, Mr. Pierce," she said as I walked in. "Morning, Miss Hartman. Ready to rescue my calendar from self-destruction again." "It's not your calendar that needs rescuing." She said it so smoothly, I almost missed the insult. "Are you always this kind to your boss?" "Only when they deserve it." I grinned. "So, never." She rolled her eyes, and for the first time, I saw her laugh genuinely, not the polite kind reel, warm. It threw me more than I cared to admit. By Friday, our rhythm had shifted. She still called me out, still challenged me, but the edges had softened. I started looking forward to her morning good mornings like an idiot, and I caught her watching me sometimes too, when she thought I wasn't looking. That flicker of interest she tried to hide almost undid me. We were dangerously close to something, unprofessional and unspoken. Then came the charity gala. Every year, Pierce Industries hosted a black tie event for the city's foundation. Big names, bigger egos. Normally, I treated it as another PR opportunity, but this time, I told Ava she'd be attending as part of the coordination team. She tried to refuse. I'm just an assistant. You're the only one I trust not to bore me to death. Flattery isn't an order. It is when it comes with a dress code. When she showed up that night, I forgot how to breathe. Elegant, effortless, nothing overdone. Her hair down, soft waves brushing her shoulders. My pulse did something stupid. You clean up nice, I said, offering my arm. I always do, she said, taking it reluctantly. But she did. Inside the ballroom, chandeliers dripped light over designer suits and sparkling dresses. The air smelled like champagne and ambition. I could feel eyes on us. Everyone's staring, she murmured. They always do. I'm starting to see why you like this world. I smirked. I don't. I just know how to play in it. As the night went on, I caught snippets of gossip about me, about the latest woman I'd supposedly been seen with. Ava heard them too. I saw her expression tighten when one socialite laughed, whispering my name with a tone that could melt ice. Ava's patience cracked. You really don't mind it, do you? She asked quietly when we stepped aside near the bar. Mind what? Being that guy, the one people talk about but never respect. I looked at her. You think they don't respect me? I think you don't respect yourself. It was meant as a jab, but it landed like truth. Before I could reply, someone interrupted my ex. Of course. Perfect timing. Logan, she purred, sliding closer. Didn't expect to see you here with someone new. Ava stiffened. I forced a polite smile. Ava, this is Claire. Claire, this is my assistant. The word tasted wrong the second I said it. Assistant. Like I was trying to distance myself from something real. Claire gave Ava a once-over. Adorable. You're babysitting now. Ava's jaw tightened. Only on weekdays. I nearly choked on my drink. Claire blinked, then walked away in a huff. Ava turned to me, eyes flashing. You could have corrected her. About what? That I'm not your assistant. That I'm not one of them. You're right, I said quietly. You're not. For a second, she seemed to soften, till a photographer appeared. Mr. Pierce, mind a photo? I put a hand on her back out of habit. She froze. The flash went off. Just like that, every boundary we'd built shattered. Monday morning, the tabloids ran with it. Pierce's new flame. Mystery woman at Galadot. She stormed into my office, holding the paper. What the hell is this? Free publicity, I said, trying to keep it light. Not funny. My name's in here, it'll blow over. I can't have my reputation dragged into your circus. The hurt in her voice cut deep. Ava, no, she said, stepping back. You don't get it? I've worked hard to be taken seriously. And now everyone thinks I'm sleeping my way through a job. I stood, every defense falling away. That's not what I wanted, but it's what you caused. The silence after that felt heavy. Finally, I said, let me fix it. By lying more, by telling the truth. She folded her arms, which is, I hesitated. The truth was that I'd fallen for her, hard, that somewhere between her sarcasm and sincerity, she'd turned my world upside down. But saying it out loud, that would ruin everything. So I did what cowards do. I deflected. The truth is that people will believe whatever they want, I said. You just can't let it get to you. Her eyes dimmed. That's easy for you to say. You built a life around pretending nothing matters. And then she walked out. I let her go. For the rest of the day, her desk sat empty. The office felt wrong, too quiet, too hollowed out. By evening, I couldn't take it anymore. I found her downstairs in the lobby, waiting for a cab. Let me drive you home, I said. I'd rather walk. It's raining, then I'll get wet. Don't do this. She turned, eyes fierce. Don't what? Expect more from you. There was that word, again more. I ran a hand through my hair. Ava, I screwed up, but not for the reasons you think. She crossed her arms, then enlightened me. I didn't want anyone to think you were one of them, but I also didn't want anyone to know you weren't, because that would mean admitting you're different. Her voice softened. Different how? Different enough to matter. The rain tapped harder on the glass doors. She looked at me for a long second and shook her head. You don't get to say that when you treat people like revolving doors. Before I could reply, her cab pulled up. She opened the door, hesitated for half a heartbeat, and then got in. I watched the car disappear into the rain, and for the first time in years, I felt something that had nothing to do with pride or pleasure, just loss. She was supposed to be temporary. Now she was gone, and the silence she left behind was unbearable. The next morning, I found an envelope on my desk, her resignation letter. One line stood out at the bottom. You were right, Mr. Pierce. Fun is just distraction. I read it twice, 3 times, trying to ignore the ache in my chest. For once, I didn't have a witty comeback, because somewhere between the blackout and the gala, I'd stopped rotating women and started seeing only her. Silence could be until she was gone. A week after Ava resigned, my office turned into an echo chamber. Every click of my pen, every hollow phone call, every polite laugh in a meeting reminded me she wasn't there to roll her eyes or correct me. The new temp HR sent over didn't help. She giggled at my jokes, brought me coffee I didn't ask for, and stared at me like I was still the Playboy headline everyone wanted to read. But I wasn't him anymore. Not since Ava. She'd done the impossible, made me want to be better without asking me to be. And now she was gone. Dallas moved on, but I didn't. My inbox overflowed. Contracts piled up. Deals went through. Yet everything felt flat. Empty success. Just noise. Then came the board meeting. Pierce, my CFO said, snapping me out of my daze. The Hartman resignation. It stirred up a rumor storm. Some think she quit because of that tabloid piece. I rubbed my temples. Let them think what they want. He hesitated. The story makes you look bad too. Investors don't like scandal. That got my attention. How bad? He slid a newspaper across the table. Pierce Industries CEO under fire for workplace relationship. Perfect. I slammed the paper shut. I didn't even know, he said quietly. But perception is everything. Perception. My favorite illusion. The one I'd mastered. And for once, it was choking me. When the meeting ended, I didn't go home. I went for a drive. The city blurred around me, headlights slicing through drizzle. I didn't know where I was headed until I found myself in front of a small brick coffee shop, the one Ava used to mention in passing. I parked, walked in, and there she was. She looked the same, hair tucked behind her ear, sweater sleeves pushed up, focused on her laptop. But the moment she saw me, her shoulders stiffened. Logan, she said flatly, you lost. Maybe, I said, in more ways than one. She closed her laptop. You shouldn't be here. I know, but you should have told me you were opening your own consultancy. She frowned. How did you? Your LinkedIn, I said. I stalk people when I miss them. Her lips twitched, but she fought the smile. You need something, Mr. Pierce? I hated how formal that sounded. I need to apologize. She leaned back. You already did, with silence. I deserved that, I said quietly, but I'm not here to fix my reputation. I'm here because you were right. About what? That fun is just distraction, and I've been distracting myself my whole life. She didn't reply, just watched me carefully. I built this image, I continued, the confident, untouchable CEO. But the truth is, I've been terrified. Every relationship I had was about control. Keep it casual, keep it safe. Then you walked in with your broken stapler and ruined the system. Her expression softened a little. You're very dramatic. I'm very honest, I said. For once. She sighed, looking down. Logan, The problem isn't that you're honest now. It's that I don't know if I can believe you yet. I get that. I wouldn't trust me either. Her eyes flicked up. Then why are you here? Because I can't stop thinking about you. And because my company's board thinks I'm a liability, unless I issue a formal statement about the rumors. I wanted to ask if you'd let me tell the truth publicly. That you weren't part of any affair. That I'm the one who messed up. She blinked. You'd risk that? Reputation's overrated, I said. Peace. Remember, that got her. She laughed softly, shaking her head. You really are something. Something you could maybe forgive. She looked at me, quiet for a long time. Forgiveness isn't the same as trust. I know, but it's a start. Her phone buzzed. She glanced at it, sighed. I have a client meeting. I'll walk you out, I offered. She hesitated, then nodded. Outside, the rain had stopped, leaving the pavement slick with reflected light. She locked the shop door, her keys jingling softly. Dallas looks better when it's quiet, she said. Only because you're in it. She rolled her eyes. You still flirt when you're nervous. Only with you. She stopped walking. Don't, Logan. Don't say things you don't mean. I stepped closer. That's just it. I mean it. I haven't touched anyone since you left. I deleted every contact that reminded me of who I used to be. I'm tired of being a headline. I just want something real. Her voice softened. And you think that's me? I don't think, I said. I know. For a second, neither of us spoke. The sound of traffic filled the space between us. Then she said quietly, You can't build something real out of guilt. I'm not trying to fix my image, I said. I'm trying to fix myself. She looked at me, searching my face like she was trying to find a lie. She didn't. Finally, she exhaled. Then prove it. How? Do the right thing. Not for me, for you. Face your board. Tell the truth. Take responsibility. It wasn't the answer I wanted, but it was the one I needed. 2 days later, I walked into the press conference my PR team had arranged. Cameras flashed. Reporters buzzed like flies around sugar. I took a breath and stepped up to the mic. Good morning. I know there have been rumors regarding myself and a former employee. I want to make something clear. Those rumors are false. Ms. Hartman left Pierce Industries because I created an environment where her integrity couldn't thrive, and that's on me, not her. I owe her respect, and I owe myself the chance to grow up. Murmurs rippled through the room. I continued. I've been called a lot of things: playboy, risk-taker, headline addict. Some of it's true, but this past month taught me something. Success without respect is just noise, and I'm done being noise. I stepped back. Cameras clicked like gunfire, but for once, I didn't flinch. When it was over, I went home, not to my penthouse, but to the quiet condo I'd bought before everything blew up. No champagne, no company, just silence and peace. A week later, there was a knock at my door. When I opened it, she was standing there. Hey, she said. My throat tightened. You saw the conference? I did. You hated it. She shook her head. I was proud. For the first time in forever, I didn't have a clever response. I didn't come to talk about work, she said. I came because you did what I asked. You faced yourself. I smiled a little. Did it impress you? It humbled you? That's better. She stepped inside, eyes scanning the space. Bare walls, no trophies, no noise. New look, she said. New start. I replied. We sat on the couch, an awkward kind of quiet, stretching between us. Then she said, You really stopped rotating women. Completely. I even canceled the rotation schedule on my fridge. That earned me a laugh, the real kind, warm and helpless. You're ridiculous, she said. I'm reformed. You're trying. Same thing. She looked at me. That soft, skeptical smile I'd missed so much. You know, when I first met you, I thought you were impossible. You weren't wrong. But now? She paused. You're human. That's progress. I grinned. Can I put that on my business card? Only if you mean it. The silence after that wasn't awkward anymore. It was calm. Finally, she said, so what now? I don't know, I admitted. Maybe we start over. No titles, no tabloids, just us. She hesitated. You really think we could make that work? I think we already are. She studied me, like she was searching for the old me and realizing he wasn't there. Then she nodded slowly. Okay, she said. We start over. Weeks passed. She consulted for another firm. I refocused my company. We talked not as boss and assistant, but as two people learning to trust again. She still challenged me, still called me out when I slipped into arrogance. I still flirted shamelessly, but now with purpose. One afternoon, we met for lunch at the same coffee shop. She was reviewing notes. I was pretending to read emails. Still addicted to work, she teased. Only if you're in the project plan, I said. She shook her head, laughing. You'll never change completely. Maybe not, but I'll never stop trying. She looked at me then, really looked. You've changed enough, Logan. And just like that, I felt something I hadn't felt in years, peace that didn't come from winning, or wealth, or conquest. It came from her. I leaned back, watching her sip her drink, sunlight catching the edges of her hair. You know, I said softly, I wasn't expecting my ego to get wrecked by a girl with a broken stapler. She smiled. Good thing it did. And in that moment, surrounded by ordinary noise and sunlight, I knew the headline didn't lie. The Playboy CEO had stopped rotating women, because now, he only saw her. End of story. End of Act 2. I didn't realize how loud silence could be until she was gone.